Well, I told John about a week ago. I said, "Hey, this need you to speak at Rotary," or a while ago. But I told him this is the first time we're going to meet back in person, and he's the lucky one to do it. So no pressure. But John Oxford didn't choose marketing; it chose him. At age 17, Oxford found his first job as a taste tester and commercial viewer for Nabisco. Taste testing snacks and watching commercials may seem like a sweet gig, but a young man can only eat so many Nutter Butters and Oreos. I don't know. Oxford decided to put his professional career in the ad world on hold, opting for the college instead. Fast forward to today, Oxford now uses his well-honed skills in brand messaging as director of marketing with Renasant Corp, the parent of Renasant Bank, with assets of approximately $15 billion, 2,600 employees, and more than 200 locations in the southern United States. In addition, Oxford is a marketing section instructor at the Graduate School of Banking at LSU, an instructor at the American Bankers Association Stonier Graduate School of Banking, and a former chair of the American Bankers Association's Marketing Conference Board. Prior to joining Renasant, Oxford served in the administration of President George W. Bush as a legislative assistant to the Executive Office of the President with OMB, and Oxford was named top 40 under 40 in Mississippi in 2007 by the Mississippi Business Journal. He and his wife make their home here in Tupelo with their 3 active children, a dog, 4 cats, a tortoise, and whatever else needs a home. John Oxford, here you go, man. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to be the sacrificial lamb today. I think there's an old saying that there's no free lunch. Well, apparently there is no free lunch today. So, I do appreciate Bill getting the free speech out of me without the lunch, because I'm used to getting some food here. Also, if you look at my picture up there, I quit shaving this weekend for No Shave November, and so I'm already beating everybody because I'm so manly with my beard here. But let's talk a little bit about where we are. Bill, if you want to hit the slide, the thing that works, I'm going to have him be my best friend over there. So we have a new environment now, and where are we with this new environment? And everyone here knows that mobile and digital is where we are. It's where we're going today. This is being live streamed. Tom, I think he just left, but he's talking about his plays being online and being able to watch. Schools are online now. Rob's probably originating insurance policies over a computer if he's not doing it himself. Greg, I don't know how much y'all do, but your meetings probably around the area because of social distancing is accelerated the digital process of marketing. And it's crazy to think about that. Just this last quarter, our bank, our little bank in here in Mississippi, and I know we've grown a lot over the past few years, but Renasant did $50 million in deposits over this right here. $50 million were deposited in our bank on a phone. Now think about that for a minute. Drive-thrus were packed because we had the branches closed down. They're now open, thank goodness, but still social distancing is going on. And so you've got to think you've got $50 million coming through your bank with over 100,000 checks going through this phone. And so it's more, not so much about Renasant or where we work. That's not what I'm speaking of today. And I'm going to show some Renasant ads. This is not supposed to be a commercial for Renasant, but I don't like showing other people's marketing because I didn't have anything to do with it. But my idea here is to give you some ideas of where you can do and you can take your marketing for the new economy that we're in. And so how do we begin? You begin with looking at your content. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Then you move to, are you marketing your brand or your product? And that's a huge confusion in the marketplace that people that don't have a brand often jump straight into product. And when they do that, no one knows who they are. No one knows how to trust them. No one knows their story. On the flip side, if you stick to brand too much, you'll never close a conversion. If all you do is talk about your name, what's the value you're giving to that customer? So you have all that. Then finally, you come down to tactics. How are you delivering that? What channels are you going to use? And channel now is more important than ever because not only do you have the channel to receive it, you have the channel to make marketing. And so this phone right here has been the game changer since 2007 when it was introduced, and then it was rapidly pushed forward with the pandemic because people moved to using it for their conversion tactic versus just going to Chick-fil-A. Now you put it on here. By the way, Chick-fil-A announced yesterday, I believe, that they're not going to reopen their inside dining until November of 2021. So if you think about that, how are you going to order food there? It's drive-through or it's on the app. So everyone's moving forward with this, and it's everywhere. And so I don't like presentations when people talk about things that are like, duh. We know this has rapidly pushed everything forward to mobile, but I think you need to start thinking, how does my business get into that area? how do I move forward with connecting to my customer and going mobile or going digital? So, I mean, some people are going to have digital Thanksgivings in 3 weeks. They're going to see their families on Zoom. It's the best they can do, but it's the safest thing for a lot of folks. So how does that work in the business world? So go ahead and go to the next slide. Excuse me, I'm going to swear a second. Go to the next slide. Uh-oh. What are we doing? There we go. There we go. So if you've kept up with anything in marketing over your career, Business 101, whatever, there were 4 P's that started out with. There was the product, the price, the promotion, and the place. That was 101 marketing. If you're BB Hosh, who used to run our banks here, he would know that he had a place where you would go to a transaction, you would have pricing of the product, and then you would have a promotion in the paper that got you in the door. Well, here's the difference. Thanks to the pandemic and the rapid movement through the iPhone and Google and all the technology we have out there, there is no place anymore. Your place is your front door. You don't have to go anywhere. And I hate it for my local businesses that I love to shop there, but there's nothing more local than your front doorstep. There is nothing more local than your front doorstep. So how does your business adapt to the new economy of a pandemic and a rapid adoption of digital? And so hit the slide. And so I changed the 4 P's to the 4 C's, and then I wrote a book about it. And I'll talk about that a little bit. This is why I'm here, according to Bill, because there's no lunch. So anyway, I changed the 4 P's to 4 C's. And I said, your marketing has to start with content. What are you telling the audience about yourself? What is your content? What are you delivering to the audience? Secondly is the connection. How are you connecting with that audience? Who are you connecting with? Because you could be connecting with the wrong audience, and you don't want to do that. Finally, it's a conversion. Marketing's fun, but we don't make pretty pictures. And I guarantee you, Mitch Waycaster, my boss, will tell you that. I just don't get to make pretty pictures for no reason. There has to be a conversion in the process. And then the 3 C's are delivered through campaigns, which we have a big one ending tomorrow. And I may close with a little bit about that. But the vehicle is the campaign, and then you have to have content to connect, to convert. So I changed the 4 P's to 4 C's to try to get in the conversation around modern marketing. Here's the book. And so you can get it on Amazon. It's called No More Next Time, Marketing in Marketing in the Age of Distraction. And the reason is we're all distracted. If I open up my phone right now and put it on, I'm going to have tweets, text, emails, wife asking me to pick the kids up from school, et cetera, going on. And I'm looking at it and I'm going to go, what do I do? And then I'm going to figure out something else. I'm going to forget what I was looking at earlier. And so we're always distracted now. You know, before, if we didn't have this, it's just me walking around, shaking hands with you, talking, same thing you're doing with me. But now I've got this little distraction in my pocket at all times. And it's changed the way we have to market to people, because the same thing of coming to Rotary and talking to everybody or going to an event has changed how you convert on it, because someone can literally go to their car, step outside, pop up their phone, and do the business you just talked to them about before having to go to your office. So the book's on Amazon. No More Next Time. I go through the 4 C's and the process of each one of those C's. I have I'll take this one too. I did get something free out of this. Thank you. But anyway, so if you want to get us on Amazon, let me tell you about writing it. It was during March. They canceled all sports. There was no, and I didn't realize how much of a sports fan I was. When they canceled March Madness, when there was no baseball, when basketball kind of ended, football was already over with, I was sitting there on Saturdays and Sundays and going, what do I, and you know, it wasn't warm enough to really play golf yet. I was like, what am I going to do with my free time other than the normal being a dad and husband? And so I started writing this book, and I got through it pretty quickly. It's only 120 pages. Some might call it a pamphlet. That's fine too. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But anyway, I picked a nice category, a niche category on Amazon. If you want to know how to publish a book, let me know, because I just went through it. And it became a bestseller after about 2 weeks, selling, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 copies. And then I've also got it tied into some schools. LSU is one that gives it to their finance folks. Ole Miss Banking School uses it when I'm there, and Emory as well. So I've got some schools tied into selling it as well. So anyway, that being said, let's move on to the next slide. Oh, you'll get it. I think it's, there it is. So first we're going to talk about content. I'm used to walking around, so stay in front of the mic. What is the content your company is putting out? If you're selling insurance, or if you're a bank, or if you're an automobile manufacturer, or if you're a trial lawyer, or if you're a cell phone company, how is your content connecting to your audience? And so at Renasant, we realize banking, as sad as it sounds to say, is a commodity. It is absolutely a commodity. There are 15 banks in North Mississippi that you can drive in and get generally the same 4 checking products, something with rewards, something free, something for a demographic, whether it be a senior or a student, and then one that's like one for your high-end wealth management folks that pay some type of rate on it. There are 4 basic accounts at almost every bank in North Mississippi. There's a type of loan, a consumer loan, a commercial loan, HELOCs, other type of mortgage products. And so how does one set itself apart from the 14 here and the 4,000 in the United States? And so about 5 years ago, we took a look at our content and said, let's make content that's different from what every other bank does, that doesn't necessarily talk about banking, but puts a brand touch on it. So it'll probably have to take 3 taps, but go ahead and tap that. Tap it again.
The trial of LSU football will now commence. 2001 Miami Hurricanes presiding along with several other accomplished national championship teams. LSU, you are charged with conduct unbecoming a defending national champion, failure to uphold championship level play following a title, and violation of fielding a competitive team. How do you plead?
We're seriously gonna do this?
Yes, we're seriously doing this. A 37-point loss to an unranked Auburn, giving up 585 yards in a loss to Missouri. You're giving national.
I can act that out if we need. Go back. There you go.
The trial of LSU football will now commence. 2001 Miami Hurricanes presiding along with several other accomplished national championship teams. LSU, you are charged with conduct unbecoming a defending national champion, failure to uphold championship level play following a title, and violation of fielding a competitive team. How do you plead?
We're seriously gonna do this?
Yes, we're seriously doing this. A 37-point loss to an unranked Auburn, giving up 585 yards in a loss to Missouri. You're giving national champions a bad name.
And giving Mississippi State fans a false sense of hope and excitement for their future.
Yeah. What's the problem?
The problem is that as a defending national champion, you're expected to be in the running for another title the following year. Everyone knows that.
Exactly. Look, having a season of fun and success is fine, but sustained high-level play, now that is what is expected of a defending national champion. The 2011 Auburn football team finished 4th in the SEC West. The 2012 football team finished 3-9 and imploded the program. I yield the remainder of my time.
How do you explain your defensive performance this year? What do you have to say for yourself?
Locally, the committee will accept that answer.
That doesn't change the fact that as a defending national champion, you're expected to carry on a legacy of success for years to come.
I'm sorry. This is coming from Texas? Still chasing the Mac Brown years by paying one failed coaching buyout at a time?
Championship caliber programs make the playoffs, and it
Losing the first round every year? Got it.
Champions are consistent in outperforming.
Will Muschamp and Jim McElwain were pretty consistent in their performance, all right. This is getting out of hand. I'm with the committee votes administrators to get their kids into school.
Okay, that's fair.
The evidence clearly indicates you're not performing your duties of fielding a competitive team following a national championship.
Well, you'll need to tune in on Sundays to catch the team we fielded.
LSU is out of order.
Tennessee back to chasing that Music City Bowl invite. Look, we suck. It's true. I don't like it. But can any of you seriously sit there and tell me that you wouldn't take that magical, incredible, amazing season where you get to watch some of the greatest players to ever step foot in Death Valley? Players that set school records, crushed rivals, absolutely dominated the competition on all levels, some of which are on that stage. I don't like being bad, but I'll take getting blown out by Auburn in this Frankenstein of a season if it means I'll always have that sweet, sweet, sweet 2019 season. LSU speaks harshly and truly. In our rush to condemn, we failed to point the looking glass at the most important group in all of this, ourselves.
Yeah, because some of y'all suck now. For real.
Okay.
This episode of SEC Shorts is brought to you by Renasant Bank, the bank that understands you. Learn more at renaissantbank.com.
So go ahead and hit it forward there. So the idea here was we came up with an acting troupe or trope or whatever the proper pronunciation is. I hate that Tom left because he could correct me, in Birmingham. And after the games are over on Saturday, we write a little Saturday Night Live style skit at the middle of the night or the next morning, and then they get together and shoot these, and they have to come together quickly because the connectivity of it. You forget what happens over the weekend by Tuesday. So these have to be out by Monday. And you think, well, what does that have to do with banking? Well, we're getting 100 million brand views over these during the season. We get about 2 million engagements. Those are people going in and typing up something like, check this out, or that's terrible. Don't say that about my team, or say that about my team. And then about 90 million brand impressions. And for my WTVA friends, we love our television stations, but there's no way I can get that engagement on television for what we pay to this group. And they've done one of these for 2 seasons now in a row with us. They also have a partnership with Dr. Pepper. So it puts a brand combination together that's really good for all of us. And oh yeah, last year we signed Kirk Herbstreit as the spokesperson for the company. So he naturally fits onto the end of this. And then we're pushing this out. And as we deliver the messaging, we can collect data and then come in behind it and offer a checking product or put it into some type of funnel that then we can market ourselves to the same group that's seeing these. And every video averages from 600,000 to 1 million views. And it's in our main areas of Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, and a little bit of the Carolinas. And so we get a really good market brand reach on this. And the example here is not to show you Renasant Bank, is to have you think about how does my business create content that gets attention that is not interruptive. I think marketing now has to be non-interruptive. I don't like commercials, and I'm in marketing. And also marketers ruin everything. We've ruined television, we've ruined the phone, we've ruined your email. Heaven forbid, I'm trying to fight off text messaging in my marketing association group. Stop text message marketing as far as it being obtrusive. If somebody asks you to send a menu from a restaurant at lunchtime, that's great. But don't just market to them, because marketers ruin every channel once we get our hands into it, from your mailbox to your television to your email. But how do you make it uninterrupted? And that's what SEC Shorts does. There are people that literally get up on Monday mornings and think, I can't wait to see what they're going to make fun of next. And I went to the University of Tennessee. We're the key ones that get made fun of every week. And so we don't try to hold back any bias. We make fun of Ole Miss and State and everybody else too. Just LSU's been real easy this year to pick on. So we've enjoyed that. Next slide. So how does this connect? Obviously here we've connected to an audience in the SEC with football. I had some of the other shows on there we do. It's not just SEC Shorts. We do Sotriol. We do a building show for mortgage people. We do shows about small business. So we have this video content we've created because, again, we can now deliver it here, which takes the television out of the equation, and it's uninterrupted. And so hit a space there. And so take a look at your brand now in the new economy. People hate the word new normal or the words new normal now, but take a look at your brand. Our brand is Southern, cool, fun, and understanding. We try to be empathetic to the customer and meet their need, but then we try to be fun and cool to set us apart from those other 14 banks here or 4,000 banks in the country. How does State Farm do that? Or how does Bancorp South do that? Or how does BMW do that? Or how does Sailor South do that? Or C-Spire now? How do you set yourself apart with your branding? And ours is through things like SEC Shorts and shows like Sotriol, because we set ourselves apart to grab that customer attention and then bring them in as a customer and think, I like these guys. They're kind of cool. They talk my language. They're fun. Oh, and they're in the South, so I'm here, so I'm local, but I also know they understand me. So what is your brand narrative? Pick 4 things that you do really well as a company or as a business and choose those. And so he's skipping ahead here. Either it's on delay. Part of our content connection is sports. I only put this up here really because I wanted Allie to get some credit. She won last weekend. She wears the Renasant brand on her shirt. Mississippi State grad. She's now ranked like 8 on the money list in the LPGA. Somebody from Fulton, our area. So really proud of her, but she wears that Renasant brand all over the world. And so do all the other ones we see in here. We've got our backdrop behind Nick Saban and others. So get your brand in front of your audience, traditionally and in the new economy. And so hit another one. So before you hit play here, hopefully it won't start. One of the products that obviously banking, everyone's moving into now being no longer a bank or no longer an insurance company or no longer a car company or no longer a cellular company. We're all an e-commerce company. Everyone is. If you heard everyone that came up here and spoke, Larry was talking about the art museum. Well, they had to do things on Zoom or electronically or digitally. You heard Tom talk about doing things with his business in the theater online or being able to view. So I think no one is anything anymore other than an e-commerce company. How do you get whatever your product is to your consumer? And one of our biggest things is obviously mobile check deposit. And a friend of mine made these commercials. They're not Renasant commercials, so you can take a breath, and I'm not trying to propagandize you. But I think they're good, and it shows a different take on a bank product. So hit play.
Introducing person-to-person transfers, paying anyone, anywhere, and from your phone.
So here's the deal with that ad. Don't hit play yet. Don't hit. Just leave it. Yeah, leave it right there. So here's the deal with that. You talk about an ad that connects off this content with this audience. People got so mad at that bank, they were calling their call center and shut it down for 2 days saying, why did that child not get a doll? They were angry. They were so mad. And it got so bad that the CEO took out some ads about it saying, you know, it's an actor, it's not real. We're just trying to catch your attention over using person-to-person transfer payments. We use Zelle. How do you pay someone with your phone? Venmo, PayPal, etc. Because again, digital economy, we're now in e-commerce. Even banks, we're transferring funds with our phones and mobile versus a location. So how are you an e-commerce person? And it got so bad, they had to do this as a response.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I appreciate your concern for me not getting this puppy. It's very kind of you. But the truth is, I'm an actor. That wasn't my real dad, and this isn't a real town. And while this dog is real, I never wanted him. I'm more of a cat person. So thank you for caring. But hopefully we all learned a valuable lesson. Person-to-person transfers are faster than going to the ATM. And commercials aren't real.
So I've loved that spot as a connector because it takes a real life, somewhat real life situation where the guy couldn't have money to buy his child a dog, and it shows their product is the solution to it. So it gives a value statement, which we have to in marketing. What's the value you bring to your customer? And it resonated when they hit that second lick with that ad. They didn't plan to do this. And the guy named Gordon, he's a friend of mine that wrote these spots. He said, we did not plan to do a follow-up ad, but the outcry was so negative in a good way for the bank because now they're getting attention. I mean, who's heard of a bank ad that gets attention? That bank's out of Denver, Colorado, by the way. That they made the second ad. He sent it to me and said, you won't believe this when I show it to you. So it was great. And it got them a lot of adoption in their person-to-person payment area. And so finally, let's look at the conversion, the third six. I showed a connection. First one we showed was us SEC Shorts with the content, a connection of an ad and an online payment system. And finally, the conversion. Hit the next slide. You have to be able to convert. And so if you're looking at your brand, look at your locations here. And while I don't want you to look at this for the physical locations of a bank, we look at it because that's where our customers are. And so how do we put advertising in that area over digital? And we use lots of digital tools called geofencing, where you can drop ads on people's phones that coincide with email and social media. And so you try to reach them on this versus the big television in the corner or the billboard or the mailbox, because this tends to be looked at more, and it tends to also be able to hit a button and convert versus watching on TV and not do anything with it, versus seeing a billboard and having to call a number or dial it up or go online. With this right here, we can get straight to the consumer. So hit the next slide. So the program we have, if this will play, lets us go in, and if the Renasant guys have seen this before, where I can choose a neighborhood, I can lock it down with a block. This is in Birmingham. That's a cluster of banks. So you know customers are in that area doing their business. And then I can choose, as it says here, a different area, and I can lock this down, and within 24/7, I drop ads onto this area. And so it's basically a replacement of direct mail by getting it on your phone. And it's really the next level of marketing and conversion. And it gets us to where one click and maybe 3 minutes they can sign up for an online checking account. And so businesses here are doing the same thing. Chick-fil-A with their app, they'll circle an area and try to put ads on you during lunch to that. Eat With Us, they've picked up their mobile app orders huge with sweet peppers and the grill. And I'm sure everyone here has a different story about it, but it's local and it's here. This isn't just something happening in New York or Chicago or LA. It is here. And if you're not an e-commerce provider, you better be, or you're going to disappear with Blockbuster. You're going to disappear with the bookstores. So you've got to be an e-commerce provider. If you can take anything away from this, think through your 3 C's to move to the 4th C. So go ahead and hit the next slide there. Let's see, this is moving slow. So here's an example. These are going to play. You can just let it play on of what they might look like. That one would be on Facebook. The other one's on Pandora. And with a click, it would play a short ad or not and take you to where you can get the card for Ole Miss or Mississippi State, because I've tried to stay fair and balanced up here. So anyway, I've got both of those. Go ahead and hit the next slide. And it'll play on. Go ahead and hit the next one. So finally, you can leave it there. Good. So finally, I was going to go campaigns. I want to show how we track these. We track these with different Salesforce tools, Social Studio tools, and Pardot, which are the technical names for the software that we use. But it tells us what we're doing. And what I think you can take from this is that your local bank, born and bred here in Tupelo in 1904 or 6 or whenever we were back in the day, you can look at our engagement for a week is obviously up there with some of the largest banks in the world. And so we had about 262,000 engagements a week ago, and that ranks with some of the largest banks in the world. And we do that through digital because, again, it is also the great equalizer. You can build a website just as nice as anyone else's. You can make a conversion system just as nice as anyone else's. We might not be able to make a bank as nice as, say, Chase. We might not be able to pay a salary to bring in someone like they could have in New York or California, but we can get them digitally. We can compete digitally, and all of you can compete too, and you already are. But if you're not, it's something you've got to think about this because of where we're going. Again, Chick-fil-A 2021 not opening their doors in November, a year from now, already announced, or at least rumored to announce from what I've read. So be thinking about how you get your content in front of your customer to connect and convert to them. And so finally, we can click on through the end. You can leave that up there. I think that's the last slide. So anyway, what I wanted to leave you with is this. We do have an election tomorrow. I think voting is the minimum wage of being a citizen. I think it is the absolute minimum you must do as a citizen. And I'm not one of these everybody vote things. I wish you'd vote the way I want you to vote. But still, it is the minimum wage of citizenship. You can be a police officer, a teacher, serve in the military, and do the maximum compensation of a citizen. But it is the minimum wage. And so everyone needs to pay their minimum wage tomorrow of being a citizen. And in that, the connectivity of it. Why are we voting the way we are? I'd love to get into taglines and look through the history of politics, but to the point of that, campaigns are coming to an end tomorrow, so we've got to watch where it goes. And I love to see the fallout of it on Wednesday, and if it's even over with on Wednesday, but see how they connected. Obviously, the voting message has connected big time. If you've been on Facebook, have you not had so many vote messages over the past week? Not only from Facebook, but from your friends and citizens. So it's a microcosm of what I'm talking about. Even voting is now moved to being an e-commerce thing. You just can't convert on your phone. So anyway, I'll take a few questions because I think we've come to the end of the time. So any questions anyone has about marketing? I ran through this quickly. I usually teach a class that's about 2 hours long at Ole Miss or State when they had me. So anyway, but again, content, connection, conversion, and campaigns are the new 3 C's, and the 4 C's are done with. So questions? I hear the echo back there. What time is lunch, Bill? Whenever I shut up?
So you're not so new company, but still new. We've got the franchise that provides the Facebook content, all those things. This seems to be much more effective, just getting that over to the customers. So how do I go back and present this to the franchise and say, hey, we need e-commerce advertising to go to look at people's phones?
So funny that you said, I love tzatziki's, and I'm not just saying that because it's you, I do, but I haven't eaten there a while because this is going to be sad. I haven't thought about it. And so it's top of brand idea, and that's like banking. The average person doesn't change their bank account but once every 7 years. So you got to stay top of mind. Same thing with cars. 4 to 5 years you buy a new car, but you still stay top of mind. Look how much they advertise. And so I think it's 2 things. I think tzatziki's needs to stay more top of mind. Get in front of your customer at 10:45. What message are you putting in the marketplace and social media? What message are you putting on a 1 mile radius with, like I did there in Circle, and dropping those native ads into articles they're reading, and an email tracking of what they are with maybe a 10% discount or something like that to get them back in the door. So that's where I would go with it. I'm not a restaurateur. I don't know the cost per spend of when someone walks in for you. But I think for me, you mentioned it. Now I'm thinking I might go to Tzatziki's for lunch today because I hadn't thought about it in a while. And it's not downtown where I stick around the bank. But my point is I think it's a top of mind deal with lunch and timing. I mean, if the bank sends you a tweet or a text or an email or something at 10:45, it doesn't mean that much. A place where you eat, it can mean the difference between I eat there or I don't. So I think yours is a timing and then a content issue. I think around the Tzatziki's brand, why would I want to go there versus, I don't know, whatever your competition is, Chick-fil-A or whatever, what would make me want to go there? So I think there's a brand story y'all can tell too. And then frankly, let's always, you're a Black-owned business. And right now that is huge. And so I think you can sell that story as well. So I think you've got lots of things you can tell, and then you've got the channel to put it out there.
What about a medical practice? Historically, my particular doctors have not wanted to advertise per se, and we put a few things on Facebook. How would you go about marketing your medical practice?
I would start one by not letting the trial lawyers know how I was doing it. Because you see every commercial out there. Well, I'm not picking on you. You're not that type of lawyer. But no, I'm just kidding. I was laughing the other week. Someone asked me why we weren't on TV as much anymore the other day at WTV or something. And I said, because all I see is trial lawyer ads and insurance ads, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like they're fighting each other over the airways. But to get to medical, I'd start one with medical is scary. Dentists are on TV a lot now too. I think that trend happened, and it's not something good to film. Video of a dentist appointment is not pretty. So you have to pick creative ways to do it. I think when I would look at what's your medical is so broad, just like anything. Is it a knee, an ankle, a headache, surgery? Yeah. So if it's primary care, that's a location issue one, because they got to get there. So I would look at my radius of ads there. Secondly, I would look at, this is going to be hard for me to say, but no one understands the price structure in medical. So could you articulate what your value is to your customer with a better pricing model? Or maybe it's just a pricing model they understand the same way everybody else, but you explain it better. For this amount of money, you get this. So there's the pricing model. And a third is conversion. I think it was Frank Hodges posted on that he wants to invent a computer that keeps you from entering your medical information every single time you go to a clinic. So how could you hold securely and not violating any rights the information and say we're faster? You don't have to sit down and fill out stuff. You can pre-set up your appointment. So I think you've got efficiency, pricing, and location will be your three values. If I was going to, and then how do you deliver it again over a phone, over an app? Does your business have an app? So I mean that's another thing. Can you?
Privacy. That's another issue. Even only our doctors can access the chart on their phone. My person working at home can't do that.
Yeah, but can your customer access their own information?
Yes, not an app. Well, I guess they can on an app.
Yeah.
My chart, they can. Yeah.
So that's where I would go is like better information, better pricing, or understanding of the pricing, and then location's your number one thing because you got to physically see someone unless you're doing telemedicine, and that's a whole nother ballgame too, which would be great with these as well. So, Mr. Burkle.
So how do we market Rotary on this? We've looked at ways to reach people with what we're doing. How do we do this Rotary?
So funny story, I think I've spoken to y'all probably 3 years ago about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I gave a speech on that. And I was speaking at Ole Miss to a group, and I spoke like the next 2 days afterwards. And I was talking about it, and I said, last week I spoke at Rotary about Bitcoin, and today I'm going to speak to you about it. And I went on this deep dive with these students about cryptocurrencies and spending money on, the whatever, backed by the government, whatever, and fiat currency. And I went through this whole deal. And at the end, a student raised his hand. I said, yes, sir. And I was, all prepared to answer this deep question about money and computers and banking. And he goes, John, what's Rotary? And I went, that's a good question. So I think there's a gap in the communalization of people now. I think it used to be we'd get together and eat. And I was in Kiwanis, and we'd get together and eat in Lions Club and all that stuff. And I think now it's gone to where I'm just going to run the subway and get my lunch and go back to my office. And especially the pandemic has almost ruined community groups like this. And so I think the value add is giving back. That's obviously what you got to someone is how are you giving back? Join us and we'll help find that channel for you to give back. So that would be it. Then I would get real big on Facebook. Every time y'all do something, it needs to be on Facebook. But also you need to be targeting likes on Facebook. Get people to like it so then you're in their channel when you post something so they see it more. So I would do a Facebook like campaign. I would do Twitter's probably not the right. I would do a LinkedIn campaign though, because you're also on LinkedIn. That's a business community. So I would do a like and a connect campaign, and then I would try to get in front of this younger group when the pandemic ends that'll come here and be more comfortable. I don't see someone come here. I mean, I know you got a new member today, which is great, but it'd be hard for me to come to a meeting when I didn't know everyone wearing masks. I mean, the first time out. Now, a year from now, we have a vaccine, hopefully, and people more comfortable. I think that's when I would push in-person membership. But I think it's hard right now. That'd just be my fault. But connecting, I would use social media big time, or a lot more than I see y'all doing. Not that, but I don't follow y'all, so I probably need to now.
Facebook campaign and the like campaign, because we've had that going on for a couple of weeks. If you could send me a picture of yourself, either with your family, at your work, doing something you love. We're doing the I Am Rotary campaign right now. We put up a different Rotarian every week. We did Dr. Russell with a dog this past week is the most recent one. And a statement of why you're in Rotary, what you like about Rotary, or what you've enjoyed most about Rotary, something like that, along with the picture, so we can continue that. And then you need to like it and share it, no matter who it is, so that we can get more likes and more exposure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I had a question. You mentioned geofencing earlier.
Yes.
The software in which you're able to select specific areas. So similar algorithm with Facebook, when you boost a post, you have to pick a geographic location and where you want to advertise that via Facebook. Which would work good for us here if we're boosting and targeting Rotary posts in the region, which might be a good idea. But say, for example, when you're talking about geofencing, where I can boost a post on Facebook, which is something that we're doing right now, Foundation. So we're coming with posts, generating people to come to our website or Facebook group in the website and hopefully get. We only have Facebook right now, but we're looking at working with the direct mail marketing team on snail mail stuff. And we know for a lot of the demographics of people that we're targeting and across the country, traditional mail usually has a tendency to work for them. But trying to find this geofencing software that allows you to move across platforms into like what you said, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube advertisements and things like that, that play little commercials and whatnot.
Yeah, it's like, it's basically a broker. So instead of you going directly, consumer direct to Facebook or consumer direct to Twitter, it brokers across all the digital channels. But it also places with like USA Today or the Daily Journal or ESPN.com. It'll place block ads in there. And I'm not saying you're going to get a 20 or 30% lift, but you're going to have a brand touch in those different areas. If someone clicks on it and you capture their cookies and then you capture their IP address, also now you can get them in the funnel. And that's how when you guys click on an ad for the next week, you see that whatever it was, tickets to Disney, whatever it is, keeps popping up. That's how you get in front of them. And so the idea for you would be they open a piece of mail, they see it, they open their inbox, they see it online, then they open their phone, and then also they start thinking, I need to go to Zeke's. I've seen it 6 times today. Made me think of it. Or it's like, I need to donate to your new deal with the Natchez Trace. Like, I need to do that because I see it and I start feeling that. So it's all about brand touches and that connectivity. It just has to be digital now. There is a place for direct mail. Don't get me wrong. There is. The weirdest place, direct mail works the best with older demographics and kids, because kids never get mail. And when they get it, they're like, this is amazing. Someone knows me. And it's like, whatever ad. And then seniors really like direct mail too. I think when you're between like 25 and 55, direct mail is like, it's just junk mail to you. I don't, that's just what all the data tells us. So I look like I pushed up on time answering questions. So anybody else have anything real quickly before I close it out? Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for being back. And again, pay your minimum wage tomorrow and good vote. So I appreciate it very much.
Yep, thank you, John. Thank you, John. Appreciate your insights. Thanks for joining us again. Always great to have you.